Yo, it's the mayor. Man, I'm checking in, man, to give an update, man. I done, since my little test run, of, myself, my introduction self-interview, you know, being interviewed by the CEO. I done got a couple of phone calls, good ones. And, and like I said, in that video, that was just a test run, man. There's a lot of little details, I didn't get in because it was just a test run. But look forward to, I look forward to the part two, and I can see this being a episode thing, a lot of episodes, and hopefully, y'all enjoy them, But got to send a shout out, what I'm saying, to my to my cousin, my other cousin slash sister, Sharita Carpenter. You know what I'm saying? I gotta send a shout out to my big cousin KD. Kate Dog. Kenny. My uncle Big Dre. All these names go. Be injected into these interviews and these series as me telling my story from bottom to top. You know what I'm saying? And I think it'll be entertaining, but I hope it entertains y'all. But it's a mission I'm on just to tell my story, or not only my story, my family story, and the story of the neighborhood we grew in, as well as, and then brought it out to the city. Cause by nature, by right, by stomach ground, by soil, I'm an east side. I'm an east side guy, but I've been stamped on the west. You know what I'm saying? Been stamped in the north. North side of town in the city. And back in them times, that was a hard thing to do. You, as they said now, they call it chicken in, but it wasn't no chicken in. It was how you carried yourself. Or get you, to where you can, come over here and hang and chill and whatever it may be. You may met, back in the day, you used to meet females over the phone, or, run into them at the mall. We had one of the biggest malls in the country called Central Plaza Mall in Birmingham at one point in time. Meet females at the mall over the phone or whatnot. You meet one friend. Hey man, you ain't got a cousin, or you got a sister or a friend for my friend, my brother or my cousin or whatnot. People met people, face to face, and a lot of them people are still together or still real, real close and tied, and got time with it, together and still cool with each other, because back then it was genuine, it wasn't nothing to hide behind. Like I could be one way on this camera, but I'm a whole different type of person. I can dress up, put on diamonds and necklaces and all this, and then after this, I gotta give back to, what I'm saying, or it may not be real. I gotta take it off, or take my break out my neck or turn it green. I come raw, and the people back then came raw. You know, you were held more accountable for your presentation. That old saying is, the first impression is the best impression. Is either gonna make you or break you. You know what I'm saying? So, but I got, some feedback, from a very important person, and I call her name again. This is my cousin, Sharita. Sharita Carpenter, at Sharita Carpenter. She got her own page. You know what I'm saying? And to hear her tell me, hey, cause she saw what I saw. She lived what I lived. You know what I'm saying? She a little bit younger than me, but she was very, a very important piece in my life and who I become, and and her sister, Nene, Francis, her brother Kenny, you know what I'm saying, KD, who I just said, then my uncle Big Dre, and then you got outside people that was cool with them, they homeboys, and stuff like that. But Y'all ain't gonna have to wait too long. It just got to be put together right, or the best it can be put together. Cause my best, somebody may see a flaw in it, but I'm not worried about that. As long as my people and my subscribers, and I think I take the number I got all day because every one of them I've met and interacted with is been on a genuine page. So I hope y'all enjoy it. The details that's coming with the other parts of it because I'm gonna try to put more details in and just get more information to you on how it was down here in Birmingham from the you know I was born '80, so I can only start telling you at the end of the '80s on into the '90s through the '90s to the early 2000s. When stuff started getting you know uh, you know, these dudes became add water. You know what I'm saying? Add water. It wasn't no more concentrate. You know what I'm saying? They got watered down. So uh, basically just telling you what would fly and what wouldn't fly back then. And if back then was now, a lot of this stuff wouldn't fly. The way these kids out here acting and all this violence and senseless violence. You know what I'm saying? I don't promote it. You know what I'm saying? And even in my in my days, it was. I can only say it, the difference in that and then and now is it was structure. It was structured to the point to where if you was wild, it was somebody go check you. If you was a wild loose cannon, somebody go check you. Somebody go let you know. If that what you do and you ain't gonna stop, you ain't gonna do it over here. So you had to abide by the rules of the land, of the neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Is how you carried yourself. Or it was a level of just the respect of the elders and the kids, the kids out there. So, I can't, I can't make something wrong right. But, you got bad and you got I don't know what to call it after bad, but it was some type of structure. Dudes did pay homage to the community. If they did do this and do that in this area, you'll see the ice cream truck pull up. You'll see 20, 25 kids and this one person paying for every. You know, love was showed. Not saying what was done to get that money was okay, but if you look down the history and you playing checkers, but you got people above you that's planning all this is already been in the making, playing chess. You ain't caught up to that. You ain't gonna know what's going on. Look at the name projects. These the projects. So you think before that it wasn't a project before? So all that stuff was planned, and like I said, certain things was segued through and from different locations, a la gangs, a la drugs, a la, you know, just, different little things, but it was coming off the back of the movement of like the Black Panthers and all this, people, I'm gonna say black people, were more together. And then when the drugs came, it messed up the plan. You know what I'm saying? It threw everything out. You know, they started putting fathers away for crazy time for one this, one that, and we still bouncing back from that. We still recovering from that to this day. So that's why you got what you got today. You got kids that don't listen to their parents. They talk to their parents like they the parent. I just saw a video of a little dude. It was him, and he was, you know, ranting at his sister and calling out her name and this, that, and this. I'm talking about talking to her like that wasn't his sister. And I don't know if it was the mother or the auntie or somebody that was grown recording this. This little guy looked like he was probably anywhere from 13 to 15. And he dogging his sister out. And I'm in my mind, everybody else laughing about it, and the caption was, "That's not funny to me." My thoughts and my words was like, "Is that the mama or the auntie recording? You recording this and allowing this. So what's the next step? He talking to her like he talking to her. After that, he gonna put his hands on her because you letting them rant and you ain't checking them. You ain't letting them know that this is not gonna go on. You would not go to treat your sister like that. Man, ain't no way in the world, man. I wouldn't treat my cousins because, like I said, I didn't grow up around my sisters and them, so they was in my life like that. I wouldn't go treat my cousins and them like that, and when nobody else go do it. And that's family involved. That was my peers, my homeboys at the time. Oh no, you not finna disrespect my cousin. That's females. No, no, not even the young ones. You know what I'm saying? The young guy, the young men, that grew up to be what they are today. No, no, you're not finna pick or violate them in no shape, form, or fashion. So that's where, again, the structure has been lost. Structure prevents chaos. If you never heard that before, I'm gonna say it for you again. Structure prevents chaos, and that's in something, but I'm not gonna say what it's in. But it's true. So again, this is just a video I wanted to put up right quick to just let y'all know it is coming. And I got a couple of calls. So, y'all get ready. It's coming. It's coming. And I got a good feeling. I got a great feeling. And my subscribers that I do have, I appreciate y'all. Like, share, hit the notification bell so y'all can know when I drop them. You know what I'm saying? Some of them may be live. You know what I'm saying? Some of them may come in the form of shorts to let y'all know out of the interview, you know. But I want y'all to be able to see them, and I want y'all to, if y'all don't mind, take this journey with me remembering and telling y'all my life story, my family life story, and my city life story, the part I grew up in to other parts. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going across the city because I can. In some kind of way, I can network to get this part, because I dealt with good people and how I carried myself in a humble and honorable way when I was out there like that, you know, and I will have one of the questions be the main question, and with anybody I interview, and the question, and people ain't gonna do this. What did you? I'm gonna ask them. What did they think of me, and how did they feel about me? Or how I moved, or how I acted, and I'm gonna let them answer that. Now, how many interviewers that go do that when they interviewing people that they know? But the Woodline Chronicles, meaning Woodline Chronicles, I'm just saying I'm calling it Woodline Chronicles because I'm gonna talk about my time and my cousins and other people that I knew went to school with. That was a high school. Tell what went down on that school, because that school. Man, when I tell you, leaving middle school to go to high school, the level of fear that people had that were in gangs, and heard that this high school was dominated by this certain gang, started switching over gangs, crossing over before the summer ended. They were this, then they turned to this because it was more of this over there. I didn't do that. I said they go have to do what they got to do, because I'm gonna do what I got to do, and that'll never be on my name, But this is how the level of fear that they had just in switching schools. So I'm letting you know it was serious in the city back then. I don't know what's going on now, but back then, oh man, they knew, like I said, accountability. Can you stand up? Or if it was a color you represented, can you stand up? And salute to the ones that didn't pick up a color, because they had to be stomped down too. But if you pick the color, when it's called upon, you better show up, or it's gonna be repercussions. And that's how it was. And that was a form of structure. But it was all for the wrong reason. But we didn't know no better. Undeveloped brain. But part two coming up of the interview, and we go dive off and lay off into the Woodline days, my high school days, and I'm gonna get some of the people I named, and shout out to, what I'm saying, Adair Steve, my brother, what I'm saying, shout out to Ray J, what I'm saying, he he, he was a big part, all the people, shout out to Ray J, shout out to Ma, all of it was a part of it, and may feel it, it's a lot of things behind the scene that we ain't gonna get off into, you know what I'm saying? So it ain't for everybody to know. But the part is we are telling is how it was. And the part that we gonna let y'all know is that's why we're like we are. You know what I'm saying? Is if we don't agree, we don't condone what's going on here with these kids, man, and it's senseless, just senseless for nothing violence. An old man told me once, you better as a man, you don't supposed to do nothing for nothing. Everything you do supposed to be for something. But it was in the essence of a man, like you emotions, reacting off your emotions. No disrespect to women, but that was a female trait. A man was supposed to be a thinker, you know, a problem solver, you know. But to make light, that break on a better note of a female being an emotional creature, that's where you got your nurturing from. That's where you got your that's where you got your confidence. They fed, breathe confidence into you, breathe life into you, believe hope into you. So don't get it twisted when I said that's a female trait for the emotion. But if it's not used correct, it's no good. You just got somebody right here reacting off of I don't like. Even with a woman being emotional, they're still thinkers. The first piece of game or anything you learn, you go learn it from your mother, and I stand on that. And I stand on that, you know. But part two coming soon. I didn't mean to take this long to put this video to be this long, but I want y'all to let y'all know it's coming, and I hope y'all enjoy it, But I got to put on for my city, the mayor. I'm out of here.